game-changer moment for the nation of Ghana, that we will not walk aimlessly and we will not live carelessly, but our lives will be based on sound research and information that will guide us, that scripture shall be fulfilled, that you will help us to number our days as we live our lives with purpose and wisdom. Spirit of God, when we have come together to give meaning to the need for research, self-examination, and introspection, that as a nation, we will live our lives based on information that will help us to become a great nation that will stand in the committee of nations, competing because we have researched and we have taught carefully what you have asked us to do here on earth as humans living with purpose. We pray the spirit of grace, the spirit of inspiration will rest upon us, that Lord, at the end of this day, we will indeed know that your blessing has rested upon us. Bless Mr. President. Bless everyone here gathered and every family here represented, that we will leave this place with understanding, a purpose, that together a nation will be built to your glory and to your glory alone. We thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. And many thanks to you, Bishop John Ahiati, the resident bishop of the Action Chapel International Prayer Cathedral, representing His Eminence, the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. Please appreciate him with a round of applause. It's a brand new morning in the global economy, one characterized by knowledge, information, data, artificial intelligence, and research commercialization. The question on the mind of every Ghanaian is simple. How is Ghana positioning itself to participate competitively in this global transformation? Well, the answer is simple. Through the visionary, forward-looking government of the day, today we give to you a precious gift that is going to provide predictable and sustainable funding for research, innovation, technology, and technical transfer, as well as commercialization to support national development. Ladies and gentlemen, behold, the Ghana National Research Fund. And so I'm gracefully yours, Jerry Ajololo, and on behalf of the administrator of this fund, Professor Abigail Opoku-Mensah, together with the board and management, let me say a very good morning to you all joining us here at the Labadi Beach Hotel, and to the thousands joining us on GTV, the station of the nation, and all our social media platforms, together on Wezo TV, on radio, and other selected social media platforms. We welcome you warmly and thank you for accepting our call to be part of this momentous milestone in Ghana's effort to place research, innovation, and knowledge at the center of national development, economic growth, and evidence-based policy planning. We are exceedingly glad because we're joined by a man who saw this through from his time as vice president way back in 2012, gave meaning to this course in 2016 when he was president, and today, by the grace of God, returns to us as president of the Republic. Make welcome our guest of honor, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. In his company is Ghana's Minister for Education, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu MP. We make welcome Ghana's Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, the Honorable Ablaji Fagomashi. We receive with great delight the Deputy Minister for Education, the Honorable Clementa Park. Together with the High Commissioner of the UK to Ghana, His Excellency Christian Rogue. Let us receive with joy also the UNESCO Country Director, Mr. Edmond Mukaila. Together with Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, our revered traditional and religious leaders, development partners and international funding partners, the Board, Technical Committee and Management of the Ghana National Research Fund, the Administrator of the GET Fund, heads of academic and civil society organizations, scientists, researchers and innovators, captains of industry, reps from trade and labor unions, our distinguished guests, students and pupils, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It's our fervent hope that this event will give us a clear understanding of this fund's mandate, its structure, and its strategic direction, but also give us an insight into Ghana's research and innovation needs and opportunities. But most importantly, we shall leave here all agreed in our hearts that immediate next steps are necessary. Engagement. With this said, it's my pleasure now to invite, to welcome us warmly, the administrator of this fund, Professor Abigail Opoku-Mensah.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, the Minister for Education, Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, Honorable Ministers of State and Members of Parliament, members of Diplomatic Corps, development partners, the Board Chairman, Professor Eric Rienchi Dankwa, and members of the Governing Board of the Ghana National Research Fund, the Acting Deputy Administrator, Professor Shamsuddin Ziblim, Chief Directors present, Chief Executive Officers, Administrators, and Director Generals of other state institutions present, heads of National Research Institutes, Vice Chancellors, captains of industry, distinguished scientists, members of the media, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to this historic occasion that marks Ghana's formal declaration that research, innovation, knowledge generation are central to the national transformation under the distinguished leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana. Please let's give a round of applause for that. Today, Ghana publicly affirms that the financing of discovery, the strengthening of scientific capability, and the structured support of innovation are essential pillars of our national development architecture. As we gather here for the official launch of the Ghana National Research Fund, established under Act 2020 of 1056, Ghana takes a decisive institutional step towards building a credible national platform to finance research with better structure, continuity, accountability, and strategic purpose across all fields of national endeavor. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, since the inauguration of the Governing Board on 4th June 2025 by the Honorable Minister for Education, Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, management's call has been very clear. That is, to move the Ghana National Research Fund from a statutory establishment to a functional institution ready to serve as the backbone of our country's research agenda. This responsibility requires disciplined governance framework, new administrative structure, and operational preparedness. Under the direction of the Governing Board, significant foundational progress has been made. We have all technical committees and other strategic committees being formed to strengthen governance oversight and institutional discipline. A functional secretariat has been established to serve as the backbone for the day-to-day operation of the fund. A modern office structure has been secured at a strategic location at East Legon in Accra, just to give a face to the fund. A research and innovation strategy for 2026 to 2030 has also been carefully developed to define priority research and innovation directions. Ladies and gentlemen, exactly 1 year after the establishment of the fund, The GNRF team has worked assiduously to quickly connect with strategic research and development partners as both steps to realize the core vision of the fund. And this has been done by collaborating with the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, of the British High Commission, which has provided initial funding through UNESCO under the project called Sankore. Through this strategic collaboration, the GNRF has successfully developed, among other things, the GNRF 5-year strategic plan, a draft legislative instrument, opportunities for knowledge exchange and capacity building from already established national research institutions such as the UKRI, South Korean National Research System, and the NRF of South Africa. The GNRF website has been developed, as well as the grant management system to support transparent, accountable, and competitive grant management. Your Excellency, we are pleased to inform all of you that the GNRF has successfully launched its first pilot call with the International Development Research Center, IDRC, Canada, to researchers in Ghana. This call focuses on disruptive technologies for SDGs solutions. The GNRF, in partnership with the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, would also soon launch a call under the SDCI Phase 3 with IDRC. I want to, at this time, seize this opportunity to express our gratitude to the funders of the SDCI Phase 3 and other supporters, IDRC, FCDO, Wellcome Trust, DFG, NRF of South Africa, and Get Fund for their continuous support. These experiences have provided valuable insight into competitive grant systems, governance standards, institutional accountability, partnership frameworks, and the operational discipline required to build a credible research financing institution of national significance. We have drawn from these lessons carefully, not to replicate blindly, financing institution of national significance. We have drawn from these lessons carefully, not to replicate blindly, but to inform the design of a unique Ghanaian institution grounded in our national context, while aligning with credible global standards. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we are committed to helping ensure that the Ghana National Research Fund becomes a trusted national instrument for advancing knowledge, strengthening innovation, and supporting Ghana's long-term development. And your presence here today strengthens that national journey. You are all warmly welcome, and thank you for your kind attention.
Many thanks to you, Professor Abigail Opoku-Mensah, the acting administrator of the fund. Please, another round of applause. Thank you for that warm note of welcome, articulating our journey thus far. It is now my pleasure to invite the chair of the governing board, Professor Eric Yirinchi-Darkwa, to state his strategic address. A round of applause for him.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, Honorable Minister for Education, Haruna Iddrisu, Honorable Ministers of State and Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, development partners, members of the Governing Board of the Ghana National Research Fund, Administrator of the Ghana National Research Fund, Deputy Administrator, Chief Executive Officers, Administrators and Director Generals of state institutions, Vice Chancellors and CEOs of public and private universities and their management staff, heads of national research institutes, captains of industry, distinguished scientists, members of the media, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today is a historic day for Ghana. Many worthy ideas find expression in legislation, but only a few are translated into instruments of national development through deliberate political will. By prioritizing the Ghana National Research Fund and personally presiding over its launch today, you have demonstrated a clear commitment to placing research and innovation at the center of Ghana's development agenda. I am pleased to report, Your Excellency, that the team you assembled has worked diligently to bring us to this historic moment. Allow me, Your Excellency, to turn briefly from institutional readiness to the broader strategic importance of this national institution. The operationalization of the Ghana National Research Fund addresses a long-standing institutional requirement within Ghana's national development framework. Since independence, Ghana has invested substantially in education, scientific training, and institutional development, resulting in significant scientific, academic, and professional capability across universities, specialized research institutions, and multiple sectors of national life. What has been missing, Your Excellency, is a sufficiently structured, predictable, and nationally coordinated institution for financing research at the scale necessary to support continuity, strategic prioritization, and measurable development impact. This institutional gap has had significant consequences. Fragmented and unpredictable financing has weakened long-term research programs. Constrained and advanced research training reduced institutional competitiveness and limited the contribution of research and innovation to productivity, industrial growth, and national development. A clear example, Your Excellency, of both Ghana's research potential and the importance of sustaining financing is the Africa Centers of Excellence program supported by the World Bank. Your Excellency, through 9 centers of excellence across 5 public universities, Ghana strengthened advanced training, research capacity, scientific infrastructure, innovation, and regional leadership across several disciplines. The program demonstrated that when research institutions are supported through structured, competitive, and accounting financing systems, measurable national and continental impact can be achieved. As the previous phase concluded in June 2025, it is important that Ghana positions itself strongly within ongoing discussions towards the next phase in order to sustain momentum, consolidate gains, and expand national impact. The experience from the World Bank project also reminds us that, Your Excellency, political independence alone is not sufficient. Nations must increasingly build the capacity to finance their own research and innovation priorities. The Ghana National Research Fund was established under Act 1056 of 2020 to address this structural challenge. Its significance lies in providing Ghana with a permanent mechanism for mobilizing, managing, and allocating research funding through a statutory framework that supports strategic coordination, competitive allocation, accountability, and long-term national relevance. This is fundamentally an institutional intervention aimed at strengthening the relationship between scientific capability, development financing, and national transformation. Your Excellency, the Governing Board has therefore approached its mandate with a clear objective: to establish a credible national research financing system capable of supporting Ghana's transition towards a more knowledge-intensive, innovation-driven, and productivity-based economy. The strategic framework of the fund for the period 2026 to 2030 is organized around 6 priorities, Your Excellency: research talent development, competitive research funding, innovation and industry partnerships, policy and national development support, sustainable financing and capital formation, and institutional strengthening and governance. Your Excellency, to ensure strategic focus, the board has also defined 5 national research missions to guide prioritization in its inaugural Research and Innovation Strategy 2026 to 2030. They are food systems transformation and agricultural resilience, health innovation and biosecurity, digital and industrial transformation, climate and environmental sustainability and governance, data and social systems. These missions, Your Excellency, reflect the board's determination that national research financing must be aligned deliberately with the sectors most central to Ghana's transformation agenda. The fund will therefore support the full pathway of research and innovation, from foundational discovery and basic science through applied research, validation, translation, commercialization, and policy application. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the board is fully conscious that institutional credibility depends on standards. For this reason, the governance framework of the fund is anchored in independent peer review, transparent allocation systems, conflict of interest safeguards, audit structures, digital grants management systems, and clearly defined performance frameworks. We are equally conscious that the scale of implementation will ultimately depend on sustained financing aligned with national ambition. Ghana's investment in research and development remains below continental and global benchmarks. The African Union has encouraged member states to invest at least 1% of GDP in research and development. Many advanced economies invest between 2 and 6% of GDP. These differences are reflected in how nations build strong institutions, compete industrially, drive innovation, and develop technological capability. The establishment of the Ghana National Research Fund therefore provides Ghana with the institutional framework through which more structured, sustainable, and nationally aligned investment in research can be progressively advanced. The fund's strategic direction places strong emphasis on partnerships with industry, development partners, philanthropy, financial institutions, and the Ghanaian diaspora. We believe that national research financing has evolved into a shared national enterprise supported by both public and private commitments. Your Excellency, the governance systems are in place. The strategic architecture has been developed. The secretariat we had has achieved operational readiness. What now remains is sustained implementation at a level consistent with Ghana's national ambition. Ghana possesses the scientific and institutional foundation necessary to strengthen national transformation through research innovation and knowledge application. The Ghana National Research Fund now provides the national framework through which that capability can be financed. organized and advanced with greater strategic discipline and long-term continuity. Your Excellency, we respectfully submit that the next phase must be defined by disciplined implementation, sustained capitalization, strong partnerships, and measurable national impact. Your Excellency, history may remember your administration as the one that firmly placed research and innovation at the center of Ghana's national development strategy. If Ghana succeeds in demonstrating that sustained investment in research and development at the level envisioned by the African Union is achievable, and we can achieve it, it will not only transform Asia, but also provide leadership by example for the entire continent. Let's give him a round of applause. Finally, Your Excellency, as Ghana assumes the chairmanship of the African Union in 2027, such a legacy could help accelerate Africa's journey towards Agenda 2063 and bring us closer to the vision of a prosperous, self-reliant, and scientifically advanced Africa that Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our founding president, championed. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong.
One more time, help me appreciate Professor Eric Giringshi Dankwa, the chair of the governing board of the Ghana National Research Fund. Thank you for that strategic address, outlining so well the 6 pillars and the 5 missions to guide the operations, as well as the governance structure. It's important that I acknowledge the board who assists our board chair to execute the mandate of this fund. Joining us are members Dr. Ajua Ajiman Boache, Professor Patience Dankwa Moni, Dr. Rebecca Ohene Assa, Dr. Pascal Kodo, Professor Kennedy A. Alatinga, Professor Agu Kwashi Makgranaki Kwe, Professor Isabella Achimba Kwache. We make welcome Professor Mamudu Abunga Akudugu, Professor Yahans Disu Atha, Professor Paul Pinok Bosu, Professor Ahmed Abdullahi Chinapo is a member of the board, Professor Shamsu Dean Ziblim, and Professor Abigail Opoku Mensah, the acting administrator. A round of applause. And with their varied expertise drawn from academia, science, innovation, policy, and beyond, we know they will bring the life and the mission of this great fund into being. Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have talked a lot about the fund. We've had a little glimpse of how we started. For the next few minutes, please lend your attention to the screen as we take you on a walk down memory lane. Enjoy.
Ghana has always had ideas in our laboratories, our lecture halls, our farms, our factories. Innovation is alive every single day. Researchers with transformative solutions face funding gaps, limited industry partnerships, and stalled pathways to commercialization. Businesses make critical decisions based on guesswork. There's no reliable bridge between what science knows and what the market needs. Our scientists produce, our engineers innovate, our students discover, but without sustained investment, without structured pathways from lab to market, the cycle breaks and the potential is lost. Despite the constraints, Ghanaian researchers from our universities, our technical institutions, and our national science bodies are already producing outcomes that are transforming lives. Here is the evidence. At the University of Cape Coast, what began as a student's project has become a certified patent-pending breakthrough. An edible pesticide formulated over 27 prototypes that eliminates a broad spectrum of harmful pests from vegetable crops while being completely non-toxic to humans, to animals, and to the environment. In Ghana's western region, scientists under GRIC have discovered that discarded eggshells and snail shells, materials that currently pollute our environment, contain high levels of calcium and phosphorus. Collected, cleaned, sterilized, and ground into powder, they can fully replace expensive imported mineral supplements in poultry diets. Developed by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in partnership with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture and the United States Department of Agriculture, Aflasave is a biocontrol product validated across multiple agroecological zones and growing seasons in Ghana. UMAT places strong emphasis on applied research that delivers solutions to the mining, petroleum, and allied industries, sectors that require the highest precision and the most reliable data. The innovative ideas of the students and faculty have produced digital interventions that are already enhancing operations in industry and have given rise to student startups taking on real market challenges. The University of Energy and Natural Resources is reaching communities that the national grid cannot. Through the Reflect Africa project, a multi-partner research and development initiative, UENR has installed a biomass gasification demonstration plant at Tuna Senior High School in the Savannah region. Agricultural residues, maize stalks, millet crops, groundnut shells, converted into renewable electricity for the school and biochar to enrich the soil. In Fiapre, UENR researchers are turning sawmill waste, the sawdust and offcuts that would otherwise be burned or discarded, into electricity, smokeless cooking pellets, and biogas. Fewer trees felled from our forests, less smoke in our homes, fewer greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, and for communities long left in darkness, UENR solar installations are delivering something transformative: the ability to keep working, keep learning, and keep living after sundown. In the Upper East region, student innovators at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences, UTAG Navrongo, have built a circular economy from the ground up. Project ShareMe converts shea butter waste into soap, body cream, and hand sanitizer. Project WasteTech turns spoiled refrigerators into low-cost poultry incubators capable of hatching over 2,000 eggs every 48 hours, reshaping smallholder poultry farming in northern Ghana. Project EcoHacks transforms rice husk and agricultural straw into furniture-grade wood, acoustic panels, and charcoal. At the University of Skills Training and Entrepreneurial Development, USTED, the research culture runs just as deep. USTED has produced smart traffic control systems with emergency vehicle priority, automated urinal flush technology, and car wash wastewater recycling, real solutions to real urban challenges. CSIR improved maize varieties are now cultivated in more than 15 African countries. They cover 60% of Ghana's own maize farmland. CSIR's Oil Palm Research Institute has bred elite varieties achieving 35% oil extraction compared to an industry norm of just 23%. CSIR's Food Research Institute is producing nutritionally fortified convenience foods, fortified maize, baked goods with high-quality cassava flour, targeting malnutrition and food insecurity directly. And CSIR's Pozolana cement technology reduces building costs by 18%, making shelter more accessible for more Ghanaians. At the University of Ghana, internal research investment has supported 249 projects over 15 years, spanning infectious and non-communicable diseases, food production, climate change adaptation, digital transformation, and more. a completion rate exceeding 76%, research that does not stall, research that delivers. These are not isolated stories. They are the evidence from 7 institutions across every region of Ghana. Our research ecosystem is alive. With the right investment, it can lead our national transformation. For too long, research financing in Ghana has been fragmented, scattered across institutions, dependent on short-term grants, and invisible to the industries that need it most. Researchers cannot plan beyond a single funding cycle. Discoveries stall at the prototype stage. Talent that should be solving Ghana's problems leaves for countries that value it. The Ghana National Research Fund is here to consolidate that fragmented landscape, to provide sustained financing for Ghanaian researchers, to build a permanent bridge between discovery and development, between the laboratory and the market, between Ghana's intellectual wealth and our national transformation. When government and industry invest together in research, we do not just fund science. We fund jobs, we fund food security, we fund clean energy, we fund affordable housing, we fund exports. We fund the Ghana that every researcher, every farmer, every student, every engineer, every entrepreneur has always believed was possible.
And this is how we reset a nation, through financing research for national transformation. Put your hands together for the Ghana National Research Fund. If you're just joining us here at the Badi Beach Hotel, on radio, on television, or online, we welcome you to an important milestone in Ghana's effort to place research, innovation, and knowledge at the center of national development, economic growth, and evidence-based policy planning. Just gone by were speakers who adduced to the fact that research is central to national transformation. Our nation must invest in science and innovation to become globally competitive. Ghana is building a future driven by knowledge, technology, and innovation. But much more than that, this fund represents a bold national investment in Ghana's intellectual capital. All we have achieved has been on the back of collaboration with partners who believed in us. Amongst them, the World Bank, the FCDO, and UNESCO. It is now my pleasure to invite them to briefly share their remarks with us. Let's begin with the World Bank. We shall then go to the FCDO, represented here by the UK High Commissioner to Ghana. Would you please make welcome His Excellency Christian Rowe.
Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, Minister for Education, and other ministers present, Professor Yarenchi Dankwa, Chair of the Board, and board members present, and Professor Abigail Opoku-Mensah, Administrator of the Fund, colleagues from academia, the research community, and the private sector, and ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. I stand before you today as a diplomat, but before I embarked on this career in academia and in research, so to my heart. Your Excellency, over the last 2 months, we have shared several important milestones. We were here to launch Ghana's National Artificial Intelligence Strategy, and then most recently your successful visit to London, and now here we are to launch the National Research Fund. And I think together these moments send a very clear message, which is that by working together we can achieve great things. Let me begin by congratulating Your Excellency, the Honourable Minister for Education, the leadership of the GNIF, the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, and other partners on this significant achievement that we're launching today. Research and innovation sit at the heart of addressing today's global challenges, from accelerating economic growth to tightening national security. And that is why in the United Kingdom we spend around 2.5% of our national income on research and development. Because we know that countries that invest in strong research systems are better equipped to drive growth, create jobs, and improve lives. So today is therefore not just about launching a new institution. It is also about establishing a system to finance and support research and innovation, and doing so in a way that aligns with Ghana's own development priorities and the ambitions of the Accra Reset Agenda. Your Excellency, the strength of the UK-Ghana collaboration in this space is already clear. A recent review concluded that there were over 360 partnerships between Ghanaian and British research institutions. So we have a very strong foundation that we can build on going forward. But previously, many of these partnerships were driven and funded internationally. In the future, we look forward to seeing new partnerships fully driven by national priorities and by the Ghana National Research Fund. The United Kingdom has been proud to support Ghana's journey towards this moment. Over the past decade, and through partnerships such as the Science Granting Council's initiative, we have worked alongside Ghana to strengthen research systems, governance, and capacity. And this approach reflects the broader principles at the heart of our partnership: mutual respect, shared expertise, and long-term collaboration. And we're seeing the results of this approach. Through Innovate UK's knowledge transfer partnership model, we have supported research that moves beyond theory towards practical solutions. One example is Cereal, a fortified flour developed to improve nutrition. And a few months ago I was in Tamale opening the factory in which Cereal is producing the flour, and it's encouraging to see that it is now reaching communities across northern Ghana. And similarly, innovations such as FarmSense, which supports farmers with soil analysis and fertilizer recommendations, are already in the market. These examples are important because ultimately the success of the Ghana National Research Fund will be seen not only by the number of publications and citations, but by the innovations it enables, the jobs it creates, and the difference it makes to people's lives in Ghana. Let me conclude by reaffirming the UK's readiness to continue working alongside Ghana to support Professor Abigail and the fund's success. And finally, Your Excellency, let me conclude also by congratulating the Government of Ghana once again on this important milestone. Thank you very much.
One more time for His Excellency Christian Rogue, the UK High Commissioner to Ghana, speaking to us on behalf of the FCDO. Thank you for your collaboration thus far. We have a seat for you on our governing board as a fellow researcher. We now move to another integral partner, the UNESCO. The Country Director, Mr. Edmond Mukaila, joins us with his remarks. A round of applause for him.
Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Minister of Education, dear brother, Haruna Iddrisu, my dear sister, Minister of Culture, Tourism and Arts, distinguished members of the government present here, honorable members of the parliament, the chairperson and member of the governing board of the Ghana National Research Fund, acting administrator of the GNRF, our dear sister, development partners, representative of the academia, industry, and civil society, distinguished guests, really, ladies and gentlemen. For UNESCO, it is really a great sense of profound proudness, optimism that UNESCO stands with you today at the birth of a transformative institution, the Ghana National Research Fund. Today, we are witnessing a declaration of mind's independence. This launch signaled the dawn of an era where Ghana is transitioning from a consumer of global innovation to a producer of local solutions with global resonance. At the heart of UNESCO mandates is the belief that knowledge is the ultimate currency of human development. As a custodian of Agency for Sustainable Development Target 9.5, UNESCO calls for the enhancement of scientific research and the upgrading of technological capabilities. So UNESCO views the establishment of the GNRF as a gold standard for the African continent. This fund is the essential engine that will secure Ghana's economic development as demonstrated by the chairperson, technological independence, and most importantly, its geopolitical sovereignty. UNESCO wishes to commend His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama for his visionary leadership. His administration has recognized a fundamental truth that for a nation to be truly free in the 21st century, it cannot rely on intellectual charity of others. And as my predecessor just highlighted, we have been here at the AI strategy launching. We have witnessed the culture policy and many other strategic instruments that has been launched throughout the years. So we know that that's really been in the heart of His Excellency, that it cannot rely on the intellectual charity alone. To be free, a nation must be grounded in its own data, its own technology, its own innovation. So the GNRF is really a physical manifestation of that vision, and we want really to thank you and congratulate you at the same time, President. One of the things that UNESCO felt very much touched is that for decades, one of Africa's greatest exports has been its talent, the brain drain, the migration of our top scientific minds to foreign shores has been a quiet erosion of our national potential. The GNRF changes that equation by providing well-funded local laboratories, competitive grants, and a vibrant research ecosystem. Ghana is telling its scientists, your brilliance is needed here. It will be supported here. We are transforming the brain drain into brain gain. So UNESCO involvement in this journey has been significant and deeply rewarding through the UK-funded Sankore project, and thanks really to the FCDO contribution, we have been privileged to provide the technical scaffolding for the fund. So I will not be remiss if I do not also acknowledge the leadership of the acting administrator. Her appointment as the pioneer female head of this fund is a historic moment. It reflects Ghana's deep commitment to inclusive leadership and serve as a beacon of inspiration for the next generation of women scientists and innovators. Her leadership, Excellency, proves that in the quest for knowledge, there are no limits to what Ghanaian women can achieve. So on behalf of the Director General of UNESCO and the entire United Nations family in Ghana, I congratulate the government of Ghana, the Ministry of Education, the governing board, and all the stakeholders who have made the day possible. You have built a lighthouse of hope. UNESCO remains, as my predecessor, and I will be counting on you, my High Commissioner, UNESCO remains your steadfast partner We are committed to supporting Ghana's research, innovation, and development ambitions as you lead, Excellency, the way forward to a sustainable and more prosperous future for Ghana. And I thank you.
dua bepon su dua ani nyunu ase na ne manfo je wona home kwaye bretu a wa dorin srade emfode ni nuaba she ade chensurume bie pue ama man Ghana huna de chie okutwensi a ono de onsuro no nsuro ko frise nyame bo na chi dom ono na wechina edom mani makodom medi dom sunkuni ma chi dom samsa fwadi asra dom nti onsuro dom mechere onimonyamfo John Dramani Mahama o manfo dawase o manfo mawayiko Honorable Haruna Idrisu Esia pomo esia fo enkumani akese nyina da wase ensa. Ya da wase ensa, ya da wase ensa oh. Statesmen, we salute you. We speak of distant shores and whisper tomorrows, to 1,000 miles ahead unknown. Yet at a fleeting glance, we are able to tell of the journey's silent story. So permit me to gently illuminate the pathways of ancient glories and may forgotten identities resurface. That right here on our land lies a reservoir of hidden strength and untapped potentials. Right here on this land is where curiosity takes its roots. That this land is an empire with millions of words, not just with English and French, but a vibrant linguistic land crafted by curious minds. That this soil is a pharmacy, a treasure trove of green millions of herbs, nature's codes unraveled by these same curious minds. That somewhere back in the days when our ancestors could simply tell the hour of the day with the positioning of the moon and the sun, somewhere when they first wondered about the world around them, the sun, the moon, hunting techniques, this innate drive to understand and explore probably evolved as a survival mechanism, helping humans adapt and innovate. From myth-making to scientific inquiry, Curiosity's spark has fueled human progress. Curiosity now receives a stage name, a quest for truth, questioning every line, searching again and again, researching. Knowledge journey, where curiosity starts. But what good is it when the literature is reviewed, methodologies defined, problems formulated, analyzed and interpreted? Only good enough. Good enough to get us the A's that make us graduates. Of what use when at best works published if Western notes are still the surest cause? Here to give an answer, that a new path unwinds. The course is clear. The agenda resets with research insights, supporting the local Ghanaian researcher. The new Ghana is on a runway. On the runway and in takeoff mode. And you are all advised to fasten your seatbelts. Habibana Baba Mahama. Yankopon to me tie with Chiramena Huayna. Why not to me sorry tia Amagana? On see you know the door mind to Wasaba. Wababe Peja, the Ghana National Research Fund. Adayaswan, the late Professor President John Evans Fifi Atamils. Free Dachia Chirichiri, who ni mind Dachi Chintia, or Chichiri boy, a man neck Ashania Hunono. On Yankopon Kosu Fanny C. Abraham Kukum. To clear the path for a brighter tomorrow. His Excellency sought the wisdom of experts sharper than arrows. Okunini Professor Eric Irinchi Dankwa. She, ne nim dear soon, ne batan your money down kwa. Nyanin Sabesum Bione etumpong and Sanichine in Yankwa. Professor Abigail Pokumensa. Obaku could draw for Koni Koto Jenimo, or Koto Sirenyansa. Can the money my gun and son was your Norano? What better hands to handle this agenda? From here on, we count our days. Not in the frustration of each delay, because we certainly won't lose this race. Not when there is a factor called grace. Tell me, who dares get in our way? Ghana is not where it used to be. It's not where it wants to be either. We are becoming, with every step, every lesson, every challenge, bringing us closer and closer to where we are destined to be. The journey may be tough, but so are we. Now here's many more years of growth, resilience, and becoming more and more unstoppable. Thank you.
Esther Obeng delivering the youth manifesto of the Ghana we are becoming. Please put your hands together for her. And many thanks to you, the Ghana Dance Ensemble, for duly acknowledging our partners who have come in handy to support us in reaching this feat. And now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it falls to Ghana's Minister for Education to address us, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, MP.
Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, my colleague MP and Minister for Tourism, the administrator of the GET Fund, Deputy Minister and Rural MP from Fimbisi, Clement Apak, Excellency Mukala, Excellency Chris, FCGO and UK High Commission, Christian, thank you. Representatives of the donor community, we are grateful. And I see a bevy of Vice Chancellors. Let me acknowledge you, including Professor Cliff Tego, former Vice Chancellor, University of Ghana, and Professor Isabella of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, the Board and Council, Chief Executive, Student Loan Trust, Library Authority. Let me end it there. Mr. President, I'll keep it very brief. Mine would be to introduce the President of the Republic as the keynote speaker and to keep it as short as an old woman's dance, brief and simple. President John Dramani Mahama is here this morning to give meaning and commitment by unveiling and formally declaring the formal declaration of the National Research Fund, which for him is simply not an academic fund, but a fund that should facilitate, enhance national productivity, industrialization, and innovation. President John Dramani Mahama works with the words of Kurt Lewin, German-American psychologist, who said that no research without action and no action without research. And for President Mahama, the lesson simply is he wants a country that creates solutions, not a country that will neglect research and import solutions. So for President Mahama, he wants Ghana to lead in providing answers, homegrown answers, to our continuous national challenges. So his presence here this morning, I'm told he would leave for La Côte d'Ivoire for another important international engagement on cocoa, is to demonstrate to academia and to many of you that for him, even his 24-hour economy, he's challenging you researchers and academia that he wants you to drive that into making Ghana a strong industrial manufacturing hub beyond his pledge and declaration of a 24-hour economy. How does research contribute to this? So today, President Mahama, I'm sure, will be declaring zero tolerance for the shelving of research findings and zero tolerance for the dusting of research findings, and that your research work, tirelessly done, must be shared for our national good. So I have the singular honor to introduce President Mahama. Now I see the President of UTAC, Professor Vera. Let me recognize you and to assure you that President Mahama will not give UTAC an opportunity to go on strike. Therefore, your book and research allowance, I have a copy of the letter here signed by the Minister for Finance. What you may not be happy with is whether the exchange rate is the Bawumia rate or the John Mahama rate of the exchange rate. But at least none of you will debate. Then I conclude before I invite the President. In the country today, many are struggling to measure the popularity of the President, the growing popularity, the decline in popularity. But you know, if you conduct a good research, and that research analyzes the outcome of the 2024 presidential election, it can only lead to one irresistible outcome: a popular president with an extraordinary mandate by the people of Ghana. Without much ado, I have the singular honor and privilege, I'm sure I can take his permission to add one more, Only a week ago, President Mahama presided over his cabinet outside Accra on major constitutional administrative
It establishes a national framework strengthening scientific capability and aligning research more closely with our national development priorities. Today, Ghana affirms that research can no longer be treated as a peripheral activity. It must become one of the engines that drive our economic growth, our social progress, and our national competitiveness. This movement must also be understood within the broader history of Ghana's development. From the earliest years of our independence, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah recognized that science, technology, and research will be indispensable to economic transformation and national self-reliance. He understood that a nation seeking to industrialize could not indefinitely rely on imported knowledge and solutions. It had to build a capacity to generate its own idea, develop its own technologies, and solve its own local challenge. But Ghana must also produce knowledge that is locally relevant. President Nkrumah recognized that research could not be incidental to development. It had to be deliberately organized as part of statecraft. Many decades later, Professor John Evans Atta Mills reaffirmed the importance of science, technology, innovation, and research as a pillar of Ghana's development agenda, and championed stronger institutional support for research and knowledge generation. Indeed, the Ghana National Research Fund vision was a central dream of Professor John Evans Atta Mills. And on this day, we acknowledge him and remember him that his vision has come to fruition. So this vision has always been present. What has often been missing is the predictable, sustainable financing architecture needed to support that vision. And that architecture came in Act 1056 of 2020. And we acknowledge the previous administration of Nana Akufo-Addo for piloting it through Parliament and passing and assenting to Act 1056. In the 21st century, nations can no longer compete solely on the basis of natural resources, geographical advantage, or access to capital. Nations must compete on ideas. They must compete on innovation. They compete on the ability to transform knowledge into productivity and productivity into prosperity for their people. The most successful economies in the world today are not necessarily those that are endowed with greatest natural wealth. They are the economies that have consistently invested in research, technology, innovation, and human capital development. Every major technological breakthrough that has transformed human society, from modern medicine and telecommunications to artificial intelligence, biotechnology, renewable energy, and advanced manufacturing, has been made possible by deliberate government and institutional investment in research. And so Ghana cannot aspire to industrial transformation while under-investing in knowledge creation. For far too long, our researchers have shown remarkable resilience despite the limited resources available to them. They've competed globally, they've published globally, and on many occasions they've resolved local challenges, often on very skimpy budgets or no budget at all. And yet too many have also had to rely on fragmented funding, short-term project cycles, and external grants that often determine the research priorities from outside our borders. That model is insufficient for a country seeking to industrialize, modernize agriculture, improve healthcare, digitize public services, and compete in a rapidly evolving global economy. Today, through the Ghana National Research Fund, we begin to address this structural gap. Ladies and gentlemen, the establishment of this fund is directly aligned with our broader national transformation agenda. It supports our commitment to the 24-hour economy initiative and to the Accelerated Exports Development Program. It supports our ambition to modernize agriculture, strengthen agro-processing, expand manufacturing, improve healthcare delivery, advance digital transformation, promote renewable energy, and build globally competitive industries. Every major pillar of our economic strategy demands innovation. Every innovation requires research. Every research ecosystem requires predictable financing. The Ghana National Research Fund is therefore not peripheral to our development agenda, it is central to it. Macroeconomic stability remains important, and the government has taken difficult but necessary measures to restore confidence in our economy. However, long-term transformation cannot rely on macroeconomic stability alone. Sustainable economic progress requires growth in productivity. Productivity growth depends on knowledge systems, advanced skills, technological innovation, and institutional capabilities. Nations that consistently invest in research and development are better placed to modernize their agriculture, strengthen their health systems, improve governance, create jobs, and build resilient economies. This is the broader significance of the Ghana National Research Fund. The fund's mission-based framework reflects a clear understanding that research investments must be directed towards the areas that are most critical to Ghana's development. Ghanaian farmers and agriculturists are looking for research that will save them from the scourge of the armyworm in maize production. Ghanaian farmers, cocoa farmers, are looking to research that will develop species of cocoa that are resistant to the swollen shoot disease. Ghanaian farmers are looking to scale up commercial cotton farming that will be resistant to the boll weevil. Ghanaian farmers and Ghanaian consumers are looking for gobe that is not infested with weevils. So we want our beans that are resistant to the boring of the weevil, so that we can eat our gobe free of insects. And I just want to mention that yes, our researchers have done well. There are a lot of innovations that they have done, research that they have done, but one of the major problems has been translating from research to scaling it up into commercial production. While I was watching the beautiful documentary they showed us, I was discussing with Professor Abigail about the non-toxic pesticides. Every year we import hundreds of millions of dollars worth of pesticides. Many of those pesticides are no longer used even in the countries where they manufacture them. And so if our researchers have researched and discovered a non-toxic organic pesticide, how do we scale that up so that our farmers have access to it? This is the gap the Ghana National Research Fund is coming to fill. And so its priority areas include food system transformation and agricultural resilience, health innovation and biosecurity, digital and industrial transformation, climate and environmental sustainability, and governance, data, and social systems. These priorities address the challenges and opportunities facing our nation. The objective is not simply to produce more research. The objective is to produce research that solves problems, that informs policy, that creates jobs, that strengthens industries, and improves the lives of Ghanaians. That is what the Ghana Research Fund is about. Ladies and gentlemen, 1% in 2026. At the same time, technological change is accelerating at an unprecedented rate. Artificial intelligence, advanced analytics, biotechnology, automation, and digital technologies are reshaping economies, industry, and labor markets. The World Economic Forum identifies analytical and critical thinking, technological literacy, creativity, resilience, systems thinking, and lifelong learning as among the defining capabilities for the future economy. These are precisely the capabilities that research systems can help develop. The Global Innovation Index also provides an important reflection on our current position. While Ghana continues to perform relatively well in innovation outputs compared with innovation inputs, our ranking highlights the need for greater investment in research infrastructure, scientific training, laboratory systems, doctoral education, industry partnerships, and innovative financing. Our researchers are producing value despite the constraints they face. Imagine what they could achieve if those constraints were systematically removed. Across Africa, there is a growing recognition that true economic sovereignty cannot be achieved without scientific sovereignty. Countries that rely entirely on imported technologies, data, expertise, and solutions will always remain vulnerable. The future belongs to nations capable of generating their own solutions to their challenges. Ghana must be one of those nations. And that is why the African Union's target of investing at least 1% of GDP in research and development must be viewed not merely as a spending target, but as a strategy for competitiveness, productivity, and ultimately sovereignty. Unfortunately, Act 1056 is contrary to the AU target. We capped at 1056 at not more than 0.5% of GDP. So already we are misaligned with the AU target. And so we need to look at that. Now if you take the expanding GDP of Ghana, our GDP from 2024 was 88 billion. Now it's 114 billion. So take out your calculators and work the maths. 1% of 114 billion will give you a certain figure. And when you get that figure, even just divide it by 2 to get 0.5. It means that we should be investing about 6 billion cedis every year in research. That is the target. And nobody says that Ghana should provide all that money. With our international partners, we should be able to raise sufficient money to invest in research. But we must start somewhere, so I'll announce something modest. Accordingly, I'm pleased to announce an immediate catalytic allocation of 100 million cedis to support the operational launch of the Ghana National Research Fund for 2026. And so I'm requesting the Ministry of Education in collaboration with the GET Fund and the Fund's Governing Board to ensure the transparent, accountable, and resource-oriented deployment of these resources. The initial investment of the 100 million cedis will support competitive national research grants, doctoral and postdoctoral research programs, digital grants management systems, strategic innovation initiatives, and priority research programs that are aligned with national development objectives. This allocation reflects government's commitment to building a sustainable and credible national research finance ecosystem. In addition, government will ensure the fully and timely implementation of the provisions of Act 1056 on the mobilization and release of resources for research funding. I therefore request the Ministries of Finance, Education, Environment, Science and Technology to progressively operationalize the statutory financing framework established under the Ghana Research Fund Act, so that the fund will develop with scale, continuity, and predictability necessary for long-term national impact. As we strengthen this ecosystem, we must build on what has already worked. The African Centers of Excellence program has demonstrated the transformative power of structured, competitive, and performance-based investment in research. Institutions such as the West Africa Center for Crop Improvement, WACRI, the West Africa Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, and the West African Genetic Medicine Center have demonstrated what is possible when excellence is supported by sustained investment. So we already have the institutions that have started to show what research can do. These institutions I mentioned have strengthened scientific capacity. They've developed highly skilled researchers. They produce globally recognized discoveries and enhance Ghana's reputation as a center of research excellence. We must build on these successes. And so my challenge to our universities, research centers, and scientific institutions, I offer you a challenge. Happily, like the minister said, this launch of this fund is not accompanied by an UTAG strike. I think UTAG will rather be very happy to have this supplementary research fund in addition to their research and book allowances. That was the main area of contention during Professor Atta Mills' time. And so Professor Mills will sleep easy in seeing us here today. So my challenge to you, the establishment of this fund must not merely increase grant applications, it must increase ambition. Let us pursue breakthrough solutions in food security. Let us develop climate-smart technologies for African agriculture. Let us lead research into tropical diseases. Let us harness artificial intelligence to improve governance and public service delivery. Let us create innovations that can be commercialized, exported, and scaled up globally. Our objective is not simply to publish more papers. Our objective is to solve more problems. I also expect our flagship institutions, such as CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, and Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, GAEC, to utilize this fund to advance applied research, accelerate innovation, and translate scientific discoveries into practical solutions that create jobs, improve the livelihoods of Ghanaians, and support economic growth. To further strengthen our national research ecosystem, I request the Honorable Ministers for Finance and Education to take the necessary steps to submit Ghana's expression of interest to the World Bank for participation in the ACE Innovates initiative. Ghana's participation in the ACE Innovates must be strategically integrated with the Ghana National Research Fund to ensure stronger national coordination, alignment with strategic priorities, and accountability for results. And I can assure you, Ghana National Research Fund, that you will have my fullest support in your application to the World Bank to be part of the ACE Innovates. You have fullest presidential support. Ladies and gentlemen, nations are ultimately shaped not only by what they inherit, but what they choose to invest in. Today's launch is an investment in Ghana's future scientists, in our innovators, in our engineers, our entrepreneurs and medical researchers, our agricultural technologies, and our problem solvers. It's an investment in the belief that Ghanaian talents, when properly supported, can compete with the very best in the world. It's an investment in a future where Ghanaians themselves increasingly develop solutions to Ghanaian challenges. And so let history record that on this day, Ghana chose to invest deliberately in knowledge creation. Let history record that we will strengthen the foundations of our knowledge economy. Let history record that we took another decisive step towards building a prosperous, resilient, innovative, and globally competitive nation. I wish to commend the governing board under the leadership of Professor Eric Irenchi Dankwa, the acting administrator, Professor Abigail Opoku-Mensah, our university's development partners, researchers, and all stakeholders whose efforts have brought this vision to reality today. The responsibility before us is now clear. We must govern this institution with integrity, we must finance it with consistency, we must utilize it with impact, and if we do so, the Ghana National Research Fund will become one of the most important instruments for strengthening Ghana's productivity, competitiveness, innovation, and sovereign capability for generations yet to come. And so on that note, it is now my singular honor and privilege to formally declare that the Ghana National Research Fund has been officially launched.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of our Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, delivering the keynote and officially declaring the Ghana National Research Fund duly launched. Please put your hands together.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, the initial funding for this was generously provided by the GET Fund. I should acknowledge them. They also further provided 5 million financing for the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. I've directed the administrator to release same as part of your research agenda and support for academia. And for those of you at the Ghana Academy of Sciences, Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, the President has directed that I request GET Fund to elevate your funding 2027 10 million, 2028 10 million as far as is President of the Republic. Then that GET Fund will make commensurate allocation for the establishment. The President, we can't thank you enough. So this is your Ghana National Research Fund. Adololo, grateful.
And so since my operator was in a hurry to unveil even before the President gets here, can we still have the light again? Please. A round of applause. It's official. The Ghana National Research Fund is hereby duly declared, launched, and unveiled. Put your hands together. Humbly, Mr. President, together with members of the launch party, I invite you to the base of the stairs for a few photographs, after which we shall give the vote of thanks and end proceedings for today. Ghana Police Band, some soft music in the background as we take a few pictures. I ask the members of the board, you please join on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, you may please be seated. Members of the governing board, please come on stage right behind the official party. Together with the acting deputy administrator. That you hold yourselves in readiness. Our partners, FCDO and UNESCO. Thank you very much, board members. Please be seated. FCDO together with UNESCO. Vice Chancellors of both traditional and technical universities, please stand in readiness. Vice Chancellors, Rectors of traditional as well as technical universities, please join on stage. UTAG, CTAG, and GTEC. We ask that you also get ready. Thank you very much, Vice Chancellors. UTAG, CTAG, GTEC. And it's a wrap. Please put your hands together. Many thanks to you, Mr. President. Let's all be seated as we bring the proceedings to a close. Let's be seated briefly as we bring proceedings to a close. Thank you very much, Ghana Police Band. And for all who were unable to register in the beginning, please do well to do so before the end of this event. Mr. President, talking about your 100 million CD commitment, my friend, who is the administrator for the Ghana Sports Fund, Dr. David Kofi Waku, says, Charlie, they must do better. And so he's promising something undisclosed. Please, a round of applause for him. He's joined us here. A round of applause. Where is he? Ah, there you are. Please, a round of applause. We'll look forward to that. And so it has fallen to me on behalf of the acting administrator to share a few key messages and finally say thank you to all who have come to support us on a day like this. Mr. President, Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, what we have achieved as a fund is to show that we must move beyond publication into innovation and commercialization, with young researchers and innovators playing a critical role as Ghana seeks to become a regional hub for research and innovation excellence. We certainly know that we cannot make this happen without collaboration among academia, industry, and governments through innovative financing. And so we call on all to join us through concerted efforts by supporting from government, industry, development partners, and philanthropy to mobilize early partnership and co-funding commitments like what the Sports Fund has done to position Ghana as a credible leader in research, innovation, and knowledge-based growth. We want to thank you ever so much, Mr. President, for making your voice tangible with action today. Please, a round of applause for the President of the Republic. It's our prayer that, God willing, you'll be able to achieve all you set out to do in resetting our nation and present it to the Osajefo and the good people of Ghana come the 6th of March 2027, a reset nation. We also want to thank you, amen to that. We also want to thank you, Honorable Minister, for being the arrowhead for bringing this to life. To all our partners, FCDO, together with UNESCO, we want to thank you ever so much. And to each and every one herein gathered, we want to assure you that we will live up to our mission of mobilizing and managing sustainable resources for inclusive and innovative research that drives national development in line with our vision of becoming a world-class research fund powering Ghana's transformation. In closing, the resetting agenda for Ghana is not a distant dream. It is the very mandate of the Ghana National Research Fund, financing research for national transformation, and it begins today and with you. The question is, are you joining us? Are you joining us? Then may God bless us all and our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong. Let us receive the blessings of Allah delivered to us by the Executive Secretary of the Office of the National Chief Imam, Alhaji Osman Seidu, and thereafter the National Anthem.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama. The National Chief Imam instructed I say a prayer for you. He asked that I should pray for good health, strength, and wisdom to continue governing this country. In the same direction, he also asked, I pray for your appointees, particularly the Sector Minister of Education, Honorable Haruna Idrisu. He said I should pray for leadership and guidance to be able to sustain the Ghana National Research Fund. Shall we pray? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa abdulillah, wa ma bikum min ni'ma fa min Allah, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'inu ya Allah. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'inu ya Allah. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'inu ya Allah. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين يا الله إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين يا الله إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون آمين يا رب العالمين.
Ghana National Research Fund. May God bless you, the President of our Republic. May God bless us all and make our nation great and strong.